Hi there, folks. Today we're looking at linear regressions, and this goes right along in the same lines as what we were looking at when we were talking about lines of best fit and that kind of stuff, except this time we're going to kind of use a calculated version of the line of best fit. Instead of estimating and saying, okay, it looks like this line fits and it looks like this has a slope of this and a y-intercept of that, we're going to do what's called a linear regression. And a linear regression is a calculated line of best fit. You could technically do it by hand, but the calculations are tedious and a waste of our time at this point because we can do this using a graphing calculator or some kind of computer program, all right? In this video, I'm going to show you how to do this on a TI graphing calculator. I'm going to use an older TI 30. You can use a newer version. The steps are pretty much the same. You just might have some more options on the newer version, okay? So linear regression is a calculated line of best fit. For example, if I take a look at something like this, I've got the number of years that a stock has been around and the price of that stock. And remember, the first thing we always want to determine is if this thing even looks like a line, all right? And we typically do that by doing a scatter plot. And I could come over here and do the scatter plot by hand, just like we've been doing, but the calculator can actually do that part for me as well. So on the TI, let me turn this thing on. But on the TI, the first thing we want to do is we want to go to the Stat menu. Okay, it says this little button. It's right below the Delete button. It says Stat. That's the Statistics menu. And that's what we're doing. We're plugging in values that, data values that came from some source. And the first thing we want to do is Edit. So number 1 there, I'm going to hit Enter. And it should give me a bunch of lists like this, L1, L2, L3. If you're missing any of those lists, you want to back out of here, go back to the Stat menu, and go down to this Setup Editor. All right, and run that program, and it should reset all your lists. What happens is when students are in here, if you go up here so that L1 is highlighted and you hit delete, that list will be gone forever, so don't do that, okay? If you want to get rid of values that are in a list, maybe you're using a calculator that you got from an older brother or sister or a friend that was used, and you have values in here you want to get rid of, simply go up and delete each value one at a time. It's not hard to do. Delete, 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 okay? So now I'm going to punch these in. I've got a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. And so I punch those values in. Now I got to punch my y values in, 22, 32, and that last one's hard to read, but I'm pretty sure it's a 55. Yeah. Okay, so now I got all these values punched in. That's just me telling the calculator, hey, here's the stuff that I have, all right? Now we have to tell the calculator what to do with that stuff. And the first thing we probably want to do is graph it. See, I don't want to find a linear regression here because, well, I don't know, all right? I don't know if this thing even follows a linear pattern, so I have to see if it follows a linear pattern first. I need that scatter plot. So here's what I do. I'm going to scoot this off to the side so I can draw it once I'm done. But I'm going to go right here. You see above this guy, it says stat plot. I could click on that, or you can just click on the y equals. The stat plot is these values up here. See plot 1, plot 2, plot 3. If I go up and highlight plot 1, all right, it's going to do plot 1. And if you want to see the nitty-gritty behind that, that's where you go second and then hit this. And it kind of shows us right here. Plot 1 is using list 1 and list 2. And if you have a different list, you're going to have to click on that and change it, that kind of stuff. But everyone should have punched theirs into list 1 and list 2, and that's the default here. So I go back here, just make sure this guy is highlighted, and then I hit graph. And lo and behold, I don't see anything. And the reason I don't see anything is because the calculator is set up to look 10 in each direction. So like right here, it's looking this way, 10 units. -1, -2, -3, -4, okay, all the way down to -10. It's looking this way up to 10 units. It's looking this way 10 units, and this way down to -10. And when you look at my values, they're all bigger than that. Look at my y values, 22, 32, 35, okay? I can try doing different things with the zoom in, zoom out, but really I'm just going to mimic kind of what I do with the scatter plot. So I'm going to go into Window. It's right here above the zoom button, so second window. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Oh, Window's right here next to this guy. There we go. Sorry. So Window right here. It's a little hard to read on my screen. But I don't need -10 for my lowest x value. See, it's basically saying this is the lowest x value, here's the highest x value, and I'm going to show everything in between. I'm going to change that to 0 because I don't have any negative values here. Okay. The x maximum, notice I go all the way up to 11. I could throw the 20 in there just to kind of give me an estimate of what it might look like, so I'll go up the way up to 20. For the y values, again, I'll start at 0. I don't need any more than that. And again, this is kind of domain and range type of stuff. Look at the range on this guy. It goes from 22 to 55. So 0 is a good starting point. I got to go at least up to 55. So I'm just going to go big. I'm going to go 100, okay, just to make sure I can see this whole thing. And then once I'm done typing all that in, I just hit graph. So I'm going to hit this little graph button right here that says graph. And now I can see my scatter plot, all right? And it's really easy. I'm not going to go crazy with this. If we're doing a linear regression, don't worry about labels and that kind of stuff. Just we wanted to get an idea that the scatter plot on this one, kind of looked like this. Sorry, I'm copying it from another calculator that I have this on, so I didn't have to go back and forth. But just give us an idea. Hey, that's what this thing looks like, okay? I just want an idea that, hey, this scatter plot shows me a linear equation. All right, now it's safe to go ahead and calculate a linear regression. So back to my calculator here. I'm going to exit out of this, and you can just hit clear to get back out, or you can hit second quit, whatever. But now I'm going to go back into the stat menu. Okay, so I go back to stat, and this time I'm now ready to calculate a linear regression. So I go over to calc for calculate. And if you look down, number 4 says lin reg, and in parentheses behind lin reg, this is important, it says ax plus b, kind of like mx plus b. So it's going to display this as, hey, a is this, b is this. It's going to tell us what the slope and the y-intercept is. So I go down to number 4. I hit enter. And for the older calculator, I just have to hit enter one more time. It wants to make sure that I definitely want to see this thing. If you have a newer TI, it's probably asking you, hey, are the x's list 1? Are the y's list 2? All right, and it's just making sure everything is where you want it to be. You have to scroll down to the word calculate and hit enter. For the older one, I just have to hit enter one more time, and it spits this out, okay? And so I can write that down. The A is my slope, so that's 3.21, and B is the y-intercept, the 19.88. I'll just do 2 decimals on this one, okay? So I write it down. Let's see, it was a 3.21 and a 19.88. So now I have this regression line, and I could plot that. But now the follow-up question, this was right here in the table. Okay, the follow-up question was, well, what's the price of this stock going to be after 20 years? So I come down here and say, hey, let's use my linear regression, and let's find out what the price of this stock is going to be after 20 years. So y equals 3.21 times, I plug the 20 in. And this is a job for my calculator. I just plug this thing. In fact, since I have my calculator up, I guess I can show plugging it in. Crazy, right? Times the 20. And then the 19.88. Okay, so I got $84.08 approximately. And yeah, this was talking about money originally, which is why it was really a good idea to go 2 decimals on this thing. Okay, but then another follow-up question here. Let's say we're waiting to sell this thing. I want to wait until the stock reaches $400. All right, I want to wait till this thing, until I can cash out and be a millionaire. All right. So again, I'm using the same equation. It's this 3.21 times x plus the 19.88. But now I just have to think about which variable this is, all right? See, in this particular example, x was my years, so I plugged the 20 in for x. Well, y is the price. It's the amount that this thing is worth, so I'm going to plug that 400 in for y. And on a question like this, don't be shy about using your calculator. I am confident that all of you could do, 400 minus the 19.88 in your heads and divide that by 3.21 in your heads. All right, but let's let the calculator do a little work here for us, okay? So again, 400 minus the 19.88. So I get 380 and 0.12. And now I'm going to divide each side. So again, it's a matter of determining, is this thing linear? Does it follow a linear pattern? Once I figure out, yes, it does, then I can do a linear regression. And then I can use that linear regression to make predictions about future values. That looks like, I'm going to be waiting a while, 118.4 years. And again, that is in years. So I might want to sell that sooner, or I'm not going to enjoy the proceeds, okay? Or maybe I can save this for my great-great-grandkids, all right?